Good morning. This is retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, Little Lutheran Church in Amherst, New York. We welcome you to our broadcast this morning of September 1st of 2024, this being the 14th Sunday after the Feast of Holy Trinity, and the text appointed is from the Gospel of Luke, the 17th chapter, verses 11 through 19. And we're going to be looking particularly at verse 17. And it came to pass as he went to Jerusalem that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And he entered a certain village. There met him 10 that were lepers, which stood far away. And he lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said to them, Go, show yourself to the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back and with a loud voice glorified God. And he fell down at his face at his feet, giving him thanks. He was a Samaritan. And Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? Are there not found that return to give glory to God, save this stranger? And he said unto him, Arise, go your way, your faith has made you whole. Here ends a portion of the gospel text. Now, we're looking at verse 17 particularly. Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? This idea of clean or dirty. This is both the simplest possible idea, and at the same time, one that I have never understood, and still do not. How can something be both very simple and yet immensely complex? Well, how about what are things made of? That sounds easy, right? Things are made of metal, wood, cloth. Go deeper. What are things made of? Everything's made of atoms. Yeah, sure. Okay. Go deeper. Everything's made of muons and gluons and quarks and neutrinos. Okay, go deeper. Different flavors of neutrinos. Go deeper. An unnamed neutrino. What is it? We don't know. Okay, what does all that describe? Less than 5% of everything. What? That describes less than 5%? Yep. What about the 95% plus? No clue. You can answer dark matter, dark energy, blah, blah, blah. Dark. They use the word dark because that only says we don't have any idea. Unknown completely. So unknown everything. Okay. So we really don't know what junk's made of. Well, what about us? That's an easier step. We're flesh and blood. We're part of the animal kingdom. We're mammals. We're Homo sapiens sapien. We're the wise, upstanding ape, according to science. You can go to the Smithsonian Institution. They have human paleoanthropology, and the site there will describe for you all of the branches of what eventually is, they would say, us. And you following a path of apes to about 10 million years to breakdancing in Chicago. Yeah. So what are we made of? Dirt. Just like every other animal. Dirt. Your pet dies, you bury it. Or you have it cremated, and it's gone. It's dirt. And same with human beings. You die, and we take you out to some place called a graveyard. And what's that? Well, we put you in a decomposable box, and you go back to dirt. And I even say it as a pastor. I say it in the committal at the graveside. From ashes to ashes, dirt to dirt, dust to dust. It's the sentence. I've said it hundreds of times out in the field, wherever. And so we're basically dirt. And even if you look in the Bible, the story in Genesis, which, oh, dear heavens, hope you realize that is metaphor. If you're one of these people that says, we take the Bible literally, well, I got news for you. Hebrew doesn't work that way. So learn to first read Hebrew, then give me your opinion. Because until then, your opinion doesn't count for much. Like saying, I'll tell you how the human body works. What, do you have a medical degree? No. Go get that first, then we'll talk. My favorite people will say, yeah, I don't need all that schooling. Okay, well then you like being stupid. Okay. But here's the thing. In the Bible, there's a story of the God taking dirt and making people out of the dirt. And then he breathes into them the breath of life. Okay. Well, so we are animated dirt. We stumble around for 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, and then we fall over and we stop moving. And we are dead. We're dirt. And this seems so simple. It even gets simpler because in the Bible, not only made of dirt, but we return to dirt. But it uses the idea of dirt to describe something I don't understand. Now, I babysit the 2-year-old grandson, and he gets dirty all the time when they play on anything. And Gussie will say, wash hands. What do you got on those hands? Cookies. Chocolate cookies everywhere, right, Gussie? And there's chocolate cookies all over his face and his hands. And we got to go get that little stool out. We got to get him to the sink and get the soapy out. And I say, put your hands out. And he puts one finger out. Gussie, put the hand out. And he puts out one hand. And he puts the other hand back. Yeah, he's a stink. And so washing hands is like the simplest thing. Even someone who's 2 with a sense of humor knows how this works. And this is the beauty of it. We take showers, we take baths. Usually, like my wife will say, "Did you get a bath yet this morning?" No. Are you gonna? I was planning not. Maybe you should. You really stink. So bathing, washing, to remove dirt. Okay, yeah. That illustration is going back to the Hebrew. The Hebrews have volumes going back to long before Moses on what's called in Hebrew nida, which means dirty. And there's volumes as far as different kind of dirtiness, whether it's an illness, whether it's an issue of blood, whether it's menstruation, or whether it's sickness. It could be so many different things that can make one unclean. Here in the text, it's leprosy. And they would have to yell out, unclean. Doesn't like they need to wash their hands. They had an illness that damages nerves. We understand today we can work with it. But back then they had no clue. They just trusted God would help them. And so God walks along and helps them. But the idea of being clean or unclean, dirty or not dirty, it's the simplest possible idea. I asked Gussie, he's 2. Your hands clean? Yep. Need to wash them? Nope. I go, let me see. We're washing them, aren't we? Yeah, we're washing them. Okay. But in spite of knowing that, what I can't understand is the metaphor it represents, the symbolism of unclean and clean. Because even though we're made of dirt, and we get dirty, and we wash, and we become clean, the Bible talks about God washing us, and even though we're scarlet in sin, we're washed cleaner, whiter than snow. This is imagery from the Old Testament, and it's used just everywhere. It's a central idea. And even here in the New Testament with Jesus, same thing. Whether it's the woman who can't be cured by doctors who have an issue of blood, or just women with a monthly cycle, that a lot of what Jews lived with, including Jesus, was nida, cleanliness. And a man couldn't even sit on a chair that a woman was previously sitting on, for instance. If you touched a woman that was in that time of the month, you couldn't even go to the temple for a week. These rules just ruled everyone's lives, and not in a good way either. It was difficult. The laws of Moses even had ways to check for a leprous lesion on a wall. Like people who store wool know that you can get an outbreak of a leprous virus on a skein of, or a ball of yarn that's stored too long or in the wrong way. So the Jews knew this because God came down and told them this. They didn't know it. They were poor in science. The Greeks, the Egyptians, they were great in science. The Hebrews they were good in medicine because they had to be. They had to know the body. But as far as what does this metaphor stand for, clean and unclean? Where God says, I'll wash you and you'll be whiter than snow. I'll set your guilt, your sin from you as far as the east is from the west. It represents something different. Because although we are made of dirt and we return to the dirt in every case, and it doesn't matter how rich you are or how popular you are or how powerful you imagine yourself to be. I always like that. People who are, especially elderly people, especially men, who think that they're powerful. And they'll and grit their teeth and make face. Okay, give them a 500-pound weight and say, pick that up. I can't. You bet you're darn right you can't. Why? Because you're old and weak. You probably can't even pick up 100 pounds without your spine collapsing. But my favorite is these old people, especially old guys, who just put on these airs as though they're, I have money. Yeah, until the court comes and takes it all away. Or God comes and, wow, all of a sudden you can't move. You're paralyzed from the neck down. You're stroked, baby. I was in the Florida Keys. Plenty of rich folks, stroked out. And they would sit there on the same stainless steel chairs in the same hallway with the woman who owned only a ratty old yellow sweater. And they were in the same row of wheelchairs. And by the end of the week, they all had each other's teeth in. They all had each other's glasses. And they all had each other's dirty yellow sweaters. And none of them could tell who was the rich ones and who were the poor ones. Because you know what? You get to that state, and that's how you are. Every last one of us. But what God means by this is what I don't understand. When he says, I'll make you white as snow. How do you change dirt? And this idea is central to Scripture. That which is mortal, made of dirt, will be immortal. St. Paul dwells a whole chapter 15 of 1 Corinthians on this. That which is sown in dishonor will be raised in honor. That which is sown in weakness will be raised in power. That which is sown in mortal will be will be raised up immortal. So that God is going to make a fundamental change to us. We're not going to do it to ourselves. We can't even heal ourselves. I go to the doctor and the doctor just chuckles. I'm like, yeah. Am I suddenly better? Am I like 17 now? She's like, nah. But you are older. That's something, right? Yeah, you're not dead. Yeah, both chuckling. And because, yeah, it's silly. Of course I'm older. And yet God says, 1,000,000 years from now, Karl will still be here. Doing what? Well, I hope it's playing video games. Absolutely. And hanging out with the family. And that is kind of what he says we'll be doing. And oh, heavens, I hope these mansions he's making for us don't have gutters. Because I'm not getting up on ladders and cleaning gutters in eternity. Yeah, there's rain coming. I forgot to clean my gutters. Hang on, God. I'll be right back. I got to go clean my gutters. And then you fall off your ladders and break your leg. No, that's not heaven. So hopefully there's no gutters in heaven. But his idea is not just to say that we're morally different. This is not about morals. Some people think religion is about morals. Bad news. This is going to be really terrible news for those folks. Religion has practically nothing to do with morals. Why? Because morals don't get you anywhere. You can't improve yourself by morals. Ask Benjamin Franklin. He tried. He writes about it. His great moral experiment. How'd it go? He says, the better I tried to get, the worse I noticed I was. That's easy. Read a story of his life. You'll find out. You want to replicate it for yourself? Go right ahead. I love that. I've talked to people. I don't really sin. Oh, this conference. I'm thinking to myself, this conversation is going to be fun. I'm going to have such a good time because I've got me an idiot. I've got me a stone cold certified idiot right here. I don't sin. This is good. Now let's start by asking your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, what kind of sinner you actually are. You lying. Oh, that's where we're starting. You're lying. You're a lying hunk of garbage. That's where we're starting because everything else goes from there. So, morality, ethics, nada. Well, if that's not it, what is it? Religion is simply that God has decided to take dirt that he animates for a while and then returns to the dirt and bring it home with him by name as children to live with him forever. And Job says a miracle about this, which is why I said earlier, I don't understand it. If he was going to change us into something else, okay. But he's not. Job says, with these eyes, I'll see God, whom I shall see for myself. Okay. And the whole idea in Greek of anastasis, the resurrection. That is, ana, to repeat, to redo, estemi, to stand up on your legs and walk. To have legs and walk. That's resurrection. And yet, as St. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15, to be immortal, to be filled with power and glory and honor. By the way, those words, glory in Greek, hagios. It took a while. It's from ha and gia, away from the earth. And it's the same in Hebrew. Kadosh means otherworldly, off of this earth. Kadosh and hagios, same. Holy, 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 the angels in heaven before the throne of God. Holy, holy, holy. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. So, holy doesn't mean better, sweeter. It means out of this world. So that's what this text is really talking. Not talking about 10 guys who got healed. Big deal. They're all dead now, by the way. So they got rid of leprosy for a while, and yet there were other people in the world who did have leprosy and eventually died from nerve damage. But this is about something much more profound. Well, how did God accomplish this final thing? That's easy. We had nothing to do with it. Nothing. And for all of those who want to cooperate with God and be God's little helper along the way and contribute to their salvation, there's the answer. He doesn't want your help. He finds anything you can do to be really obnoxious and kind of hateful because he has a completely different plan. He sent his son, Jesus, to die under his wrath. Not Satan's wrath, not the Romans' wrath, not the Jews' wrath, not our wrath, but for my sin, your sin, the sin of the world, everyone's sin, no exceptions. So the sins of the world are forgiven. They're gone. In fact, the only way that you can still be in sin is to reject that. There's literally no other way you can still be in sin except to just reject God's gift of forgiveness, his love, his mercy. And that is what gets us there, wherever there is and whatever there is. So, this has been retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, a little Lutheran church in Amherst, New York, on this September 1st of 2024, 14th Sunday after the Feast of Holy Trinity. And we thank you for tuning in on the radio today, which is not the radio, it's the internet, for our little broadcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.